Hey everybody, it's me, it's Undead Viking. Thank you for tuning in to watch another one of my video reviews. I hope you've seen my best of 2012 video review. If you haven't, please watch that if you get a chance. But in that best of 2012, I had quite a few games that I had not actually reviewed. And it was one of those things where December is always kind of a bad month for me. Besides the holidays going on, obviously, you got the shopping, but I also have a ton of families that come in from out of town, ton of family members. Families. I have these like 17 families that come in from out of town. I have lots of family members that come in from out of town, and like my sister did from San Francisco, which was really cool. And, I have one of those cool, weird families where I have 3 Christmases because my dad's remarried, my mom's remarried, and and of course my wife's parents who stuck it out and stuck together. I don't know, nothing against my parents. I love them both, and they're both very, very happy, now, and so God bless them both. But so the thing is that I got a lot going on. Plus, I had a really nasty case of flu that knocked me on my butt, and took out everybody else in the family. Actually, I got the last, so. I blame all of them for infecting me with their plague. But, the bottom line is that December was just a bad month, and I just had a ton of stuff going on. I feel really bad that I didn't get some of these reviews done. I try to get one of these done every week, and it just didn't happen. So now I'm going to go back, and I'm going to try to get those games that I, listed off, as, at least the top 10, and some of the honorable mentions that I never actually reviewed. And one of the games that I really wanted to review and I want to tell you about is Exodus Proxima Centauri. A Space 4X game from NSCAN Legendary Games. A really, really excellent game that I've really enjoyed playing. Whenever I have a game that has a theme like Space 4X, ultimately you're always going to compare it to other games of that genre that you've played. And when Eclipse came out, if you've watched that review of mine, I love Eclipse, and it's just an awesome game. But it is a very, very, it's, what's I'm looking for here? It is an investment game, if you will. Especially if you're playing with maximum number of players. It's an amazing game, it's a lot of fun, but, it is a game that you have to set aside a lot of time to play. And one of the interesting things about Eclipse, though, is after I played it, I realized I was never going to really want to play Twilight Imperium again, just because of the fact that I felt Eclipse really took everything that Twilight Imperium was giving me, and it presented it in a better way, and just for me. And I know there's people out there who think Twilight Imperium is awesome, and it's the end all be all, and I'm not stomping on your grave or anything like that. Go ahead and enjoy it, but. For whatever reason, Eclipse took its place, and I got rid of my copy of Twilight Imperium. So, whenever I'm presented with the possibility, and Andre, the designer, contacted me and asked me if I wanted to review it, and I was really excited to do so. And I do apologize, Andre. You're probably watching this, and I apologize for not getting this review out sooner. But. I was worried. I mean, I was excited to play it just because the theme is obviously one that really strikes a chord with me, and I was really excited to play. But I was worried about what it was going to bring to the table that was different than the other games of this type I've played. I mean, I've had, I don't know, I mean, several space exploration type games. I guess 5, 6, or 7 of them. And I've only held on to 2 so far. One was Eclipse, and one was Space Empires 4X. And just because they were different enough from each other, and they scratched different itches. And so yes, I was excited to play this game, but I was a little bit worried that it was going to replicate my experiences with those 2 games, and it just wouldn't really find a niche within my collection. So. With trepidation, I got the game and I busted it out and I played it with my friends. And I was very, very, very pleasantly surprised with the game. And I'm hoping that I'll be able to explain to you that in greater detail with both my explanation of how the game is played, but also with when I go over the game and I do the actual review, if you will, after the rules explanation. So I warn you, there is a lot of rules, and you know me, I try to show them all. So it's going to take me a while to get through it all. So if you're not the kind of person that wants to sit through that, it's about 30 minutes or so of rules, I think, is what it ended up being. But you can definitely just skip ahead on the old YouTube and go to the end portion. But regardless, enough jibber jabber. Let's show you how to play Exodus Proxima Centauri. All right, here we go. What you see here is a 3-person game of Exodus that I have set up. There are different obvious setups for more players. If you play with 6 people, obviously the map will be even larger. I did this because I wanted you to be able to see the entire map. The home planets are here, here, and here, yellow, white, and purple. And the different hexes are the different types of planets. You have the blue planets, you have the red, and you have the green. And the blue planets create these little blue cylinders for resources, the red cylinders for the red planets, and the green cylinders on the green planets. I think the red is called Axinium, and the greens are called Phasium. We almost always call them reddies or greenies. And the blue is actually kind of the money of the game, so we just refer to that as the money. But I think that's called CP or something like that. But regardless, the middle hex here is the Galactic Council. It really isn't really important until like the end of the game, because if you control that hex, it's worth 3 victory points at the end of the game. If any other hex that you control at the end of the game is worth 1 victory point. So obviously owning that is very important on the last turn. And in almost all of our games, there's usually a big fight over that location. At the beginning of the game, you will start up with the upkeep phase. During the upkeep phase, that's when your planets clone more population, and you also get to take your resources. The only planets that you control, obviously, are your home planets, and so you get to take one of these blue cylinders and take it. And this is considered to be a unit of 5, whereas these cardboard counters here are considered to be units of 1, so you can make change if need be. What happens if you control the red or the green, obviously you get to collect, during the upkeep, you get to collect those cylinders. And however, there is a tax on collecting those. Every cylinder you collect that is not a blue cylinder costs you 1 money. So, if you collect a blue cylinder, but you collect, say, 3 of the others, that's 3 tax. You'd really only collect 2, so you'd trade in and you get 2 cardboard tokens instead of 5. So and there's different technologies that'll allow you to be able to take more resources when you get your upkeep, and also that allow you to kind of avoid that tax and things like that as well. It should be noted that you don't get to replenish the resources on the planets you control unless you actually mine them, and mining is an action that's an option that you have to take. Anyway, after that is done, and you've done all of your upkeep, then the last thing you'll do is, if you have any ships, which I should mention that yes, just like any good space game, you get cool looking spaceships. But if you have any ships that are damaged, now you get to repair them. But unlike a lot of these games, you actually have to have the technology to repair them. And you don't just repair them like completely, you only get to repair 1 point of damage per turn. So ships are kind of fragile in this game, but it's been my experience that you're always fighting, because destroying other people's ships is actually a really good way to get victory points. And so your ships getting damaged and getting blown up is fairly common, but you're just constantly churning out new ones. So after you're done repairing your fleet, if you have any ability, and I should note that if you do have the technology to repair, you get to remove 1 from each of the ships that are damaged, not just 1 ship that's damaged. But after you're done with that, you move on to the council stage. Now this is when each person is part of the Galactic Council, and theoretically they meet in that location in the middle. And when they go to do their Galactic Council, you are going to decide upon whatever sort of maybe law or resolution will be enacted this particular turn. And so that's why you have this deck of political cards. And once again, it's these tiny little cards, and I've never been a big fan of these tiny cards. But you take the top 3 of these suckers, and the chancellor of the area here looks at these 3, and he reads them out loud, and he presents them to everybody. And so, like, this is super tax. All players must pay double tax, and if there was an environmental law, you would remove that from the table if this is enacted, and the resolution removed from the game before the next council day. So this would be intact for the next turn. Everybody would pay double tax, and then you get rid of it. And there's another resolution. Banking actions and reactions have no effect. So if there's bankruptcy and this is enacted, there would be no banking actions being able to take. And this one is protect the civilians. Each player may immediately research civilian ships technology without paying any cost. And if it's an executive decision, what happens there is you just do it immediately and you get rid of the card. It doesn't, like, stick around. Let me see if I can find a law really quick just so you can see. Yeah, here's, like, a law. It says civilian tech law. And the costs of civilian technologies are reduced by 2 money CP. And so remove military tech law if there's one from the table. And it's a permanent. So you would, if this got enacted, you would make this a permanent law. You'd put it over, and I'll show you that board here in just a second. And it would take place until perhaps one of these would cause it to be banned. But anyway, so the Chancellor will read those, and he'll present them like so. And the first round, the Chancellor is determined randomly. You just hand the cards out, and that person, and you hand them out, and what happens is you'll now bid. And so each person will collect the money, the blue resources that they have, and you have these squares here. You'll have a square with A, B, or C, and this one's B. And each person, like, chooses which one they want. They put the money in their hand. Everybody reveals at the same time, and whatever particular decision got the most votes will be enacted for that turn. If there's a tie, the Chancellor will then break that tie and decide. But so one of these will be put into effect, and most likely, I'm guessing, because it's the very beginning of the game, everybody will probably pick that one because they want the free technology. So they'll do that, and that'll take effect. And that segues really nicely. I'll just show you this really quickly. This is the technology tree. Each person gets one of these so they can kind of keep track of what they have. You have your spots for your resources down here. You have and your money, all your leftover population cubes, and you do use your population cubes to pick these spots. It's no big deal. You have tons of them, so it's no. And I'm not going to go through each and every one of these little technologies. I will say that this tech tree is actually really, really cool. I like it because not only is there, like, you notice that there's a gray and so forth. Each one of these is a specific type of technology, and those will be affected by the political cards. You'll also notice that there's also, like, these are like different spots. Like, this is transport technology, the ones with the little thing. This is civilian, and this is military with the stars. And like other games, the more you research into one type of technology, depending on this little symbol, the more it helps you out as far as, like, reducing the cost. You'll notice the cost is listed, here 22, 16, so on and so forth. But if, like, you wanted to get the antimatter cannon and you had 5 military technologies already, you would deduct that from the total, so it only cost you like 17. So, like I said, I like the fact that there's 4 different types, as far as that goes, but there's also the different symbols as well. And so, and also it's just nice and handy because over here, these are weapons of mass destruction, these rockets, which I'll explain in a little bit. The different cannons and shields and drives. It actually tells you how much each one of these costs. So if you're if you have the technology for, you know, the antimatter cannon, it costs you a green phasium one, and then for, you know, money, and so on and so forth. So it actually like does delineate those costs, and it's just, of course, that's always handy. And before I get ahead of myself too, I just wanted to show you these are the blueprints for the different ships. So I had that one backwards, sorry. And so you can kind of see the image of the ship here. And then you can see up here, there's like a cost. So this costs an actinium and 3 blue cardboard discs. And you can see if it's destroyed, the person that destroys it, it's worth 1 victory point. But you're probably wondering why it looks like these chunks are taken out of the ship. That's because when you get more technology, like so, see, like these technology things on. This is the drive, and so like that says it can move 3 spaces, and this little triangle fits in there, and that's the shield. So you can see it has 3 shields, and then this is the fighter craft. It has 2 spots for weapons here and here, and so you could fit, say, a laser cannon in here, which would give it, you know, the 2 dice for that, because each one of the numbers tells how many dice it gets, and then it would get like the antimatter cannon if you had a big bruising ship right there. And so you have that in front of you, and you just have these things designed, and so it's kind of neat. You know, you can just see at a glance, you know, which ships have which abilities and so on and so forth. So that is that. Now, next up, as far as with the High Council, you're going to bid on who the turn order. So since there's only 3 things, here's the Chancellor, the Vice Chancellor, and a High Council, or basically the scrub. And you'll notice if you are at the end of the game, if you're the Chancellor, it's worth 3 victory points. Vice Chancellor's worth 1. So once again, everybody puts in money, turns it over, bids, and whoever bids the highest, obviously, you know, gets to go first, and then second and third. The old Chancellor, regardless of how the vote goes, gets to break any ties, but they can't break a tie in their favor. So you can't have one person having a stranglehold on the first plate, on the first player. However, it is neat that, say, you were the Chancellor, but you didn't have enough money, and you bid 3, and somebody else bid like 5, but the other person playing bid 3. Since you're the old Chancellor, you'd get to decide who won between you and the other person. And unfortunately, like I said, you can't break ties for yourself. So you'd have to pick number 3, which, you know, stinks. But obviously, there, you know, since the old Chancellor can break ties, say you had no money and you bid nothing, but then you had 2 people that bid the same for the Chancellor and Vice Chancellor, you could possibly say, hey, if you promise not to attack me this round or something, I'll pick you as the Chancellor, and, you know, kind of finagle your way into, you know, maybe hopefully somebody giving you a break or what have you. After that is done, you now know what is the turn order, but the last thing you're going to do is you have these bonus action cards. Now, each turn, each person gets 2 actions, and then possibly a 3rd action if you have like a political research. There's one thing on the technology tree that'll give you a 3rd action. But most often you'll have your 2 actions, and then you'll have to get the possible bonus action. The Vice Chancellor goes through these cards and is going to pick 2 of them. So, like, let's say research and trade. Let's say that. So, and then he hands those to the Chancellor, and the Chancellor looks at them and picks one of those 2 or none of the cards as a bonus action. So let's say he says, okay, fine, I'll choose research as the bonus action this turn. So now you know that there's going to be a bonus action after all is said and done, after you do your 2 actions, the research is available. So that might play into your hand as far as what you're going to pick. Now you finally are going to pick your actions, and this is where the game gets kind of neat, and I really like this part of the game. you have these cards, and everybody has the exact same cards. And you'll notice there's an action on top and action on the bottom. This is the action, and you can know, and this is the reaction. So the top action is the one that you're automatically going to get. So you're going to go through these, and I'll explain what each of these actions are here in just a moment. But the reaction is something that somebody that, depending on your turn order, may or may not be available for you to use. Now, just quickly, I'm going to explain each one of these. If you choose banking as an action, that allows you, you're basically using your financial minds to make more money. And pretty simply, what happens is you roll a die and you gain that much more blue resource. So if you chose banking, you roll, ooh, I got 3 more money, which, you know, doesn't seem like a big deal, but sometimes you really need money. If you have advanced banking as a technology, you get to roll 2 dice, which is always awesome. Building ships is just that. You get to build ships, you pay the cost for the ship, and they appear on your home planet. That's the only place that ever can build. You can build that on there. Buying upgrades, just like you'd think, you're buying the upgrades for the different parts of the ship. That's for the things that you have the technology for. You've had to research that particular technology to be able to do it. So, and it should be noted that your ships, no matter where they are on the board, automatically get those upgrades as soon as they're done. Mining allows you to replenish the planets that you control. You roll 1 die, and you get to add that many resources in total to all the planets that you control. So, if in this case you get 2. Advanced mining, if you have that as a technology that you've researched, you get to roll 2 dice. And then you just, so if you say, well, say I rolled a 6 instead of a 2, I had 1 planet that needed 2 more cylinders to maximize it out, because each planet has a maximum number of resources. You'll notice, like, here's a 4 on the red, a 3 on the blue, and so you can't have more than that on there. And then, so you had like 2 planets that were, one was down 3 and one was down 2. You could replenish that all with a roll of 6. The extra is just wasted. But if you only rolled a 2, you can only replenish some of them. Research, just what you think. You get to buy research on your research tracks if you have that available to you. Trade, I'll explain that. Trade's pretty cool. You use this market here to be able to trade. It is divided up by the number of players, because each time you do a trade, you're using up a spot on the board. So, like with 3 players, there's only 3 possible trades that are allowed to happen. And so when you choose a trade, you take one of your population cubes and just place it over the spot to show that you've used both ends. And when you do a trade, once again, you roll a die. And I know a lot of people are going to say that you're rolling a lot of dice in this game, but this is kind of a Ameritrash game, and a lot of things come down to dice. And you roll a die, and that's how many interactions you get to have with the trade market. And so I rolled a 3, meaning I could use it 3 times. Now, one of the most important technologies in the game, in my opinion, is advanced trading. Because without advanced trading, you can only buy or sell. So you really can't play with it, if you will. But like in this case, you'll notice like each one of these phases you can buy or sell for money to get the. So if you could say sell a red Axinium for 3 money, or I apologize. I'm saying this completely backwards. You could, for 3 money, you could buy 1 red cylinder, or if you wanted, you could sell 1 of these other cylinders for 5 money. Now you might be asking, what's this other spot over here? If you have advanced trading, you actually get to use the other spot on the other side of the trade, and you'll notice that as more and more, it gets worth less and less as it goes on. It's like 6, and then 5, and then 4. So if you're the first person to use this trade, you're getting the best deal. And so if you have advanced trading, not only do you get to buy or sell, so let's say you have 3, you could come in here and you could say, well, I'm going to sell 2 green cylinders because I don't need them. I'm getting 6 for each one of them. I'm getting 12. And then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to buy, meaning I'm going to buy back those 2 green cylinders. And so you can see where you're able to just totally improve yourself. And I think advanced trading is like probably one of the most important technologies to research in the game. And I should be noted that a couple of my friends have mentioned that they think it's kind of broken because you can really make a lot of money quickly using trading. But since you're using up one of your actions or a reaction to do it, I mean, I don't see that as being a big problem. Plus, there's multiple ways to take out somebody's ability to get resources. So you can really, even if somebody has that ability, you can really dictate, put the thumb on them, if you will. Banking, we've been through that. Oh, I guess that's all of them. I didn't realize we got through all of them. So that's what each one of the actions are, and you'll get to do 2 actions. After the first action, however, after you've placed your card down, the first player, the Chancellor, gets to look at everybody else's reaction and decide whether or not he wants to use it. And then, so he goes, I'm going to use a reaction. Now, if you use a reaction, you actually have to use a clone, use a population cube to do it. Now, I mean, I don't understand the mentality of that. I mean, I don't know if you're sending them away to work at the other person's planet, or if you're just boiling their body down or something. I have no idea. But it does work. Maybe thematically it doesn't make a lot of sense, but it does work as a inhibitor towards just taking constant reactions. But but it is like I said, it does work mechanically. After you've done all the reactions, and if somebody uses your reaction, it's not available to you anymore. So being the last person kind of stinks, because it's by and large the choice reactions or the options are pretty much gone at that point. Now you do your second action, but you can't use the card that you've already used. It stays on the board. There is a technology that allows you to pick the card back up, so you can use it again. But mostly you'll be leaving the card. Then you pick a new card, place it. Everybody takes their action, and then you then the second reaction happens. Now with the second reaction, actually you have to use 2 population cubes to use a second reaction. So it gets even more spendy to use that. And then after that's done, you get to do your bonus action, which is everybody gets to do research if they want. Oop, see, those little cylinders keep rolling around. And then that is done. And now you've moved on to the part where you can use weapons of mass destruction if you have researched rockets and placed them on planets. Weapons of mass destruction is one of the cooler parts of the game. If you research, there's 3 types of rockets. There's a rocket that will destroy population on a planet. There's a rocket that will destroy resources that are on a planet. And there is a third type of rocket called the graviton rocket that will actually utterly destroy the planet. But yes, that's right, you can destroy a planet in this game. It should be noted that the graviton rocket, which the little thing is this, cannot destroy a home planet. Your home planet is considered completely safe to all weapons of mass destruction. However, there is no way to protect yourself against the rockets other than destroying the planets that those rockets are on. You never use these up. I mean, if you do the research and you get, like, this is the one to destroy the little cylinders and destroy the resources. So, say, I had this on this planet right there. That can't be destroyed. However, if White had ever moved to this particular planet and had that, and that wouldn't be there anymore after that. But this planet could get destroyed, meaning that he wouldn't have those rockets anymore, or somebody else could come over and put population on that particular planet, meaning because if they got more population on that planet, then they'd have control and also have control over the rocket, or they could destroy this population by shooting it with these rockets that destroy population. And then there wouldn't be anybody on it anymore, and so that particular rocket wouldn't be there. This all kind of goes into the playing it with kid gloves. This game is all about like aggression and attacking and everything like that. I mean, it's more about combat than most 4X games that I've played as far as the space 4X games go. But anyway, with weapons of mass destruction, the first thing you have to do if you want to shoot, say I have a rocket here, and yellow has this green planet, and he's getting lots of phasium off it, and that's making me mad. So I want to destroy some of the resources on there. I don't have a graviton rocket, but I'm going to count how many hexes it takes to get there. 1, 2, 3, and I have to roll a die, and I have to roll higher than 3. Rolling 3 won't get it. I have to roll higher. So I rolled a 3, meaning that my rocket couldn't find the way to that particular planet, and it was off. I couldn't make it. Now, if I had a technology with radar, I actually get to add 1 to the roll. So, like, if I rolled let's see, I rolled a 4 or whatever. So, I've hit the particular planet with my rocket. Now, you get to roll dice, and 5s or 6s are damaging. Now, with the resource rockets, you get to roll 5 dice. With the population planet rockets, you get to roll 3 dice. And with the graviton rockets, you get to roll 2 dice. Now, it should be noted, each person gets their own colored dice. How cool is that? But anyway, so I've hit that particular planet with my resource destroying rocket. I'll roll the dice, and I got really horrible roll. I only got 1 success, but that'll destroy one of the resource cylinders that's on that particular planet. And that's how the weapons of mass destruction work. Now, if, say, purple had a graviton rocket, and yellow was using that planet, and he had to roll to see if he could get there, and plenty of space, he rolls 2 dice, and he has to get a 5 or a 6. And I got a 6. So that rocket, that planet is toast. What'll actually happen is you just take and you flip it over like so, and it's just gone. It's an empty area of space now, and whatever was on that planet is destroyed. If there's any ships around it, nothing happens to them, but the planet itself is gone. So after all the weapons of mass destruction have been fired, now you can actually do your movement of your ships and possible combat if you end up in the same space as any other ships. Now, movement is actually really cool. If you've played the game, if you played Game of Thrones, you'll know that you put those little tokens down on each of your armies to give them a secret order. Then you flip those to show what you're doing. This is kind of the same way. You'll notice that each one of these hexes has like these numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way around. And each player gets these little hexagon shits that have numbers on them. And some of them have no numbers, see? And so what you'll do is when you decide what you're going to do, you'll take and you'll say, well, we're going to move this guy down this direction here, and we're also going to move this guy down that direction. So you place those little hexagons by those locations. Oh, and I should also mention right now that this is the part of the turn where if you want to load up any of your colonists onto a ship that can carry colonists, you can do so. Now you'll notice that there are 2 different ships that can carry colonists. There is your battle carrier. You can see it has these, it's kind of tough to see, but there's these 3 3 boxes there. And you'll notice your war cruiser also has a box there, and they can carry. And so this is that particular guy is a battle carrier, and so I'm going to move him. So the first thing I'm going to do is I pick up these 2 people, and I'm just going to say, okay, he's carrying those 2 people. And so everybody will reveal, I'm not going to place them there, but everybody reveals, you say, okay, this is what they're doing, this is how they're moving, they move, we go over. Oh, see, you know, I know the cylinders, I mean, they work, but man, they're they get knocked over all the time. And then after that, we can say we're going to deposit our colonists. They beam down to the planet, and now I'm controlling that planet. I'll be able to use it next turn to gain resources off of it. Colonizing the blue planets works automatically. However, the asteroids are tougher to colonize. You actually have to roll a 4, 5, or 6. You get to roll 1 die for each one of the colonists, and every success allows you to put 1 down. So if I was colonizing those, I'd roll 2 dice. Ooh, I got boxcars. So both my colonists would make it. If they don't make it, unfortunately, they just got to sit on the ship. They don't get destroyed or die in space or anything like that. You just weren't able to find a safe spot for them to land. And then so you have to wait. There is a technology, as always, that will make that automatic, so you don't have to roll dice for that particular location. So that's how you move around the board. You can move as many spaces as you have thrust capability. You know, it's like this one's got 1 arrow, and this is the basic one you start with. And then I showed you that one earlier with this, which has the 3. That's how many spaces it can move. And so you'd place multiple hexagons on there. So if I was moving 3, it's like he's going to move 5, then he's going to move 6, then he's going to move, you know, so you can show how they're going to move like so. You've probably seen these. These are the Centauran resistance. They don't like the fact that you're here in the Alpha Centauri and you're taking over. They actually are. They will fight any ship that ends up in that same location. You'll notice that there's these deck of cards here, different resistances. They start with, you know, a 1, the blue being easy, the yellow slightly tougher, and 3 obviously the most difficult. So like if you ended up in a spot with a blue resistance, like you turn that over, and you'll see that there is, you know, a guy there that has 1 shield, and he's got 1 die, and you fight them, and if you defeat them, you can discard immediately to receive. You could get this gun that you can just automatically get it even if you don't have the technology. Or if you hold on to the end of the game, it's worth a victory point. Now compare that to, say, a level 3 resistance guy. And you'll see he has 4 dice, 3 shields, and if you defeat him, you get a level 3 thruster, and also with 2 victory points if you hold on to him. And so once those are destroyed, you just remove those tokens from the board. They don't ever come back. Now, combat, and works in the same thing if you end up in the same spot as another player. Combat is very simple. Each person gets to roll as many dice as they have guns. If once again 5s or 6s are hits. If you hit, you get to do damage to the other ship. And as long as they have shields, they're still there. I mean, if a ship has no shield, they have 1 hit point. Every point of shields adds another hit point. So a ship that gets hit that has no shielding is automatically destroyed. A ship that has, say, 3 shields can take 3 hits to get knocked off their shields, and then another hit will destroy it. So each person just rolls a big giant bucket full of dice, sees how many hits they get, and you determine which ship gets destroyed. The person who attacks actually gets to pick where the damage goes, and then which is different from a lot of games. A lot of times, most games I've played, so usually the defender picks what happens. But so just you have to plan accordingly, and then if you are defeated, you get no victory points for the combat. But if you win, you get victory points for every one of the ships that you destroyed in that combat. So if you took any damage, you put these little black cylinders next to your ship as they move around. Very fiddly, yes, I know, but you have to track the damage because it doesn't repair automatically. And then that's after you do 2 rounds of ship movement, and so 2 rounds of conquest. And after that is done, then you move on to the next round of the game. You'll notice that at the top of this track marker, there is a turn marker, and So it goes to turn 7. If there's an epically long game, that'll go to like 9, and so then you just move it up, and then you do the next turn, and you restart, and you go through the whole process again. So, thank you very much for kind of sitting with me as I went over that entire process. But that's how the game of Exodus works. And it's definitely one of those games that, like, God, it looks like there's like a ton of rules and a ton of stuff and all these things going on. And there is. But the rule set is so streamlined and so straightforward that it really, really clicks. It's one of those games that after the first turn, you might refer back to the rules to, like, remind yourself the which thing happens first and second and so forth. But the game just moves along really, really quickly, and it's just a fantastic simulation, I guess. I mean, obviously, I've never been in space and colonized planets or anything like that, but I definitely get that old Masters of Orion feel when I'm playing this game. So, but I like it. But let me tell you exactly why I like it. All right, yeah, that's my I haven't given him a name yet, but that's the Viking that my wife got me for Christmas. If you saw that in my 2012 review, expect to see a lot of him this year. But anyway, Exodus. So maybe you sat through that long process of the rules. Maybe you didn't. If you did, cool. If not, cool. But what do I think of the game as a whole? Well, it has a lot of things going for it. As far as I'm concerned, it has a very, and I alluded to this in the review of the gameplay, and so if you skip that, I'm going to go over it again really quickly. The rules, while involved in having lots of different actions and lots of different things going on each and every turn, they're very straightforward, and they make sense, and they're streamlined. So it's one of those games that, like, yeah, you need to read the rules first. I would suggest it anyway. I could see you getting through this game as you go, especially the first turn. But you read the rules, and like after you'll see the turns roll really well, and it just everything kind of takes place in a really good order. And it's one of those games that after the first time you play it, the game just starts clicking for you. And so, yes, I mean, the first time you play it, the game's going to be a little longer, but we've found that after we've done, the game takes about maybe 25 to 30 minutes per person. So for like a 4-player game, I'm getting done with this in a couple hours, which, a 4-player game on Eclipse just seems to always last a little bit longer, which is fine, but I mean, if you're looking for a shorter version, a shorter game, this might fit your bill. I liked the fact that this game seemed to be more combat-driven than any of the other 4X games I played. Take Eclipse, for example. I mean, because of the fact that you explore the tiles as the game goes along, you get to possibly kind of hedge yourself away from everybody. You can turn things over and not connect warp gates, if you will. And I mean, obviously technology allows you to get them, but in this game the map is set up and you are right on top of each other. And so you are good to go. And plus add in the fact that, like, yes, there's other ways to get victory points at the end of the game, as far as like being a chancellor or controlling different spots on the board. I don't think I mentioned this, but each one of the planets, if you control it or if you're the controlling population, they're worth a certain number of victory points as well. And so but during the game itself, you can gain lots of victory points by either fighting the Centaurans and keeping that card, or destroying other people's ships in combat and having the most powerful fleet. And so it's one of those things where the game drives you to have combat because you're so close to each other, and also because it's a great way to put yourself in a good position for the victory at the end of the game. We've definitely had games where some people have 1 or 2 victory points, and because of their dominion, they may only gain like 1 or 2 the entire game, but then at the end they get bunch, you know, because of the fact that, you know, they control different planets and they were the Chancellor or whatever, and they've turned out to win. But by and large, the people that win are the ones that are constantly fighting and winning combats and getting that nice, good base of victory points prior to the end of the game. I really like also the fact that you only get 2 ships of each type, meaning that you don't ever have these giant fleets just, you know, moving across the board. And also because of the fact that you kind of have to spread your fleet out, especially because you're trying to have control over as much of the hexes as you can, because they're worth points at the end of the game. Now, that does lend itself towards a certain strategy that seems to be very commonplace as far as us, where you kind of keep your fleet together, or maybe 1 or 2 fleets maximum, and they move around. And then at the end, towards the end of the game, that's when you start spreading out, and that's when it gets really fun, actually, because of the fact that you know, you start trying to pick off singular ships and stuff like that, and you're in that whole bluff and double bluff of, where am I moving this guy? Am I moving him here? Moving here? Am I keeping him in the same place? And so that becomes really fun, you know, trying to guess where other people are going to go, and so it becomes really interesting, you know, as far as that hidden movement. And so one of the things I really like about the game is because you can have that unbrokered communication and deal making, but it's not really set in stone. I mean, I can tell my buddy Andy, yeah, I'm gonna move and I'm gonna go attack Craig, but in actuality, I'm moving this guy's right into his home planet and I'm gonna just blast the hell out of his fleet. And so, you know, it's one of those added levels to the game that I really, really enjoy. I really like the technology tree. I said that during the review process. I like the fact that they've split it up into 2 subsets, and so there's different effects, you know, because of political cards and other actions and things like that. And the technology tree, it isn't one of those things where you have to learn everything in order. I mean, you can just jump all around it, depending on if you have the money to afford what you want to learn, and I like that as well. You know, I really can't find anything super negative with it. I mean, other than the fact that it might not replicate the entire 4X feel. I mean, there is no real feel of exploration. You know, there isn't any... You can't... I mean, the game, like I said, forces you into combat. So if you're looking for a game where it's having a more cerebral time, you know, like doing research or just kind of like, you know, like I said, you know, just keeping to yourself, and you can't really do that in this game. I mean, this is a dice fest, and the luck of the dice will turn the tide for certain players at certain times. And so if that isn't the type of game you're looking at, I mean, I don't like giving that whole, this is an Ameritrash game, this is Euro. I mean, but for better or worse, those are the designations that we've been given, and this is definitely an Ameritrashers game. It has a lot of strategy, but it's more tactics, if you will, than strategy. I mean, because the route to victory is fairly obvious. It's just how lucky the dice are going to fall for you, but also just how you're going to do it. You know, I mean, how are you going to negotiate with other players? What are you going to do with those political cards when they come up? Which actions are you going to take? Which resources are you going to use and broker the different things that you want to do? How good are you going to play with the way the map is set up, like the planets that you have at your disposal? How many of those planets of your opponents are you going to blast out of existence with your graviton missiles, which is probably like the coolest part of the game. I will say the weapons of mass destruction are a lot of fun, and by and large, there's a couple players that I play with. They go for the graviton rocket and then just use that as a tool, just saying, hey, I won't. If you attack me, I'm going to start blowing up your planets, and that's a really good deterrent. I mean, and that's a really cool part of the game. I mean, it's for, you know, it's something that you get to destroy a planet. You get to have a Death Star, basically. And I realize that the expansion to Space Empires 4X is going to have those Titans or whatever. They're going to be able to destroy planets, and I'm really looking forward to that too. But I mean, this is the first game I've ever had where somebody, you know, it's so it's so awful being the person being targeted with that, where you're just praying not to roll a 5 or a 6, and it's so awesome to be the person. Then you're sitting there 5 or 6, and you roll and you get it, and you're like flipping the hex over. And I mean, I guess what I'm getting at is this game has tons of little stories and tons of little things that happen while you play, and it's definitely one of those games that you experience with your friends. There's not a lot of deep, furrowed brow thinking, you know, as you're playing. It's more of, you know, cursing bad die rolls or swearing revenge, or you know, when your fleet, if you're rolling dice to try to fight, and you're just constantly not rolling hits, and you're like, my guys are shooting into nothing, you know, and complaining and acting out the action. It's stuff like that. The immersion is there, the experience is there, and the journey is there. And so ultimately, it's one of those games where, yeah, you want to win, and you want to, you know, hold sway dominion and crush your enemies, if you will. But even if you don't end up crushing your friends and destroying their fleets, you still have a lot of fun when you play, just because of the fact that you'll forget whether you won or lost the game, but you'll remember that certain, like, space combat that you had that was amazing, or you'll remember, you know, like blowing up that guy's planet that had made you mad, and things like that. And really, ultimately, it's fun, and I guess I can't recommend it enough. Now, do I think it's a lot more fun than Twilight Imperium, just because I've gone on record as saying that, yeah, that game is fun, and I've enjoyed it in the past, but I just feel like it's just this big dinosaur of a game that just seems to just have so much going on that it kind of gets in its own way. I'm going to keep this game and I don't see myself getting rid of it, because it's a different game than Eclipse, even though it seems to feel like Eclipse in some ways. You know, Eclipse is a game where I will have that brow furrowed and be thinking, how am I going to figure out how to do what I'm going to do? And this game is way more straightforward and way more, you know, a smash game than Eclipse ever has been. And I definitely want to play it when I want to play that style of game. If I had any complaints about it, I can't speak for the one. I don't know. I think I got like a early version of the game. I mean, it's complete and everything like that. But the components, I had to actually like cut some of the cardboard components out with an X-Acto knife to make sure they didn't rip, which stinks. But whatever. So it took me an extra 20 minutes to get the game ready to play. You know, and I can't. I know the little cylinders, and I'm sure you've heard people complain about these. They're really, really tiny, and they fall over really easily. You saw that when I was showing you how to play the game, and they roll all over the place. I wish they'd use something differently. You know, I'm gonna probably replace them with something. I haven't figured out what I'm gonna do. I think I'll probably I have a ton of extra wooden pieces. I have little wooden discs that I think I'll replace them with instead of these cylinders. I'm sure they were used because they're tiny, and they're probably cheaper to keep the price point of the game down, and that's cool. But you know, I mean, I guess that I don't think it's gonna turn people away from the game. I guess if you really can't stand them, then I guess, yeah, you're not gonna buy it. But I mean, I think that's pretty ridiculous if you're gonna like not allow yourself to have a good time with the game because of those cylinders. That's fairly preposterous in my opinion. But yeah, I mean. You know, the only other thing that really kind of bugs me a little bit is that I do think that because of the fact that the game is almost too straightforward in some ways, because of the fact that the path to victory is fairly obvious. You know, I mean, it's just like you have to have be the most powerful, and you have to have the best ships, and you have to be able to, you know, threaten and destroy your enemies, and so. It doesn't allow a lot of veering off from that direction. And so, you know, I mean, it isn't a game I can play every night, but it's definitely a game that I can play every few weeks or so. And, yeah, I mean, it's just, it's a really, really fun game to play, and I hope I've impressed that upon you. But, hey, your miles may vary, and if you played it and you disagree with me, let me know, and that's what the old comments are for down below. So, yeah, and as far as those comments go, leave them, and I will answer those to the best of my ability. So, thank you once again for watching one of these epically long reviews. I do apologize. Well, no, I don't apologize for the length. It's the way I do things, and I hope if you were able to sit through all of it, I entertained you somewhere along the way. Until next time, this is Undead Viking. You take care of yourself, and I'll see you once I do my next review. Alright. Have a good night, good day, good afternoon, good morning. Bye-bye.